Welcome to one of the biggest crossover events in Power Ranger and Kamen Rider fan fiction history, with almost 30 storylines crossing over. These storylines are written and read to you guys across multiple platforms and given to you by the 3 Ranger Bros Studios, which is hosted by Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, Cosplay Dude 637, and myself, Ty Tiger. So prepare to dive into a storyline that not only crosses over all these stories, but hosts a threat that is willing to take down the entire multiverse as we know it. Let us begin. Rangers and Riders Unite. War for the Multiverse. Tie-in. The Fall of Universe 2118. In an unknown universe, on an unknown planet, a portal opened and the Red Cornish Ranger walked out. He hit his communicator. "Hey Dad, did you find the place?" Minnie, the Pink Cornish Ranger, and his daughter from another universe asked him.
"Yeah, I did. I will let you know when I find this version of myself and this strange technology you mentioned."
The Red Cornish Ranger replied. "Okay, cool. Just keep me posted, yeah?" Minnie replied back.
"I will. I'll be safe."
The Red Ranger told her. "I know you will," Minnie said into the communicator. Then the communication cut off. The Red Cornish Ranger advanced through a small, bright-lit jungle. Then he found it. A strange-looking mecha. The Red Cornish Ranger pulled out a scanner and held up to the mecha. It looked like a massive red machine, but it had no sign or connection to the morphing grid. It was definitely not a Zord.
"Strange-looking mecha? Let us get a better look, shall we?"
The Red Cornish Ranger muttered to himself. He climbed up the mecha and started pulling off the ivy that had encased around it. It was red in colour. Judging by the shape, the size, and the style of the machine, there was a possibility that it could fly. The Red Cornish Ranger jumped off the mecha and activated his communicator.
"Mark to the Ranger Council. Please note, unknown mecha, lying dormant. Leaving beacon for further examination. This mecha has no morphing grid connection. I repeat, no morphing grid connection."
The Red Cornish Ranger said. Then he took several steps back and something snapped underneath his foot. He looked down and he was standing on bones. He stepped away and realised there was a fresh skeleton. The Red Cornish Ranger bent down and found the remains of a power morpher.
"Think I just found this version of Mark, but what happened here?"
The Red Cornish Ranger asked himself. Then suddenly 2 Rangers landed next to him. Both were grey, faded, and without colour. One resembled the Green Turbo Ranger, and the other looked like the Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger.
"Hey there, I come in peace?"
The Red Cornish Ranger said to them. They both threw a punch. The Red Cornish Ranger caught both fists, then he pushed them back. He then summoned his power sword and took his stance. Both the faded Rangers ran at the Red Ranger. One jumped up and swung a kick at him. The Red Ranger rolled forward, dodging the attack. As he stood up, he swung his sword at the other incoming Ranger, slashing it across the chest. He spun around to attack the other one. It slammed its palm on the Red Ranger's chest shield, and he felt a surge of energy draining from him. He could see the arm of the faded Ranger shimmer with energy.
"Don't let them touch you. Noted."
The Red Cornish Ranger noted. He kicked the faded Ranger back and slashed it twice. He then turned to see the other one advancing on him. He thought quickly. He had 2 Rangers running at him from different directions. He jumped high up into the air. Both Rangers collided into one another. He summoned his power bow and shot several arrows that rained down upon the 2, sparks flying off of them. Then, as he fell to the ground, he opened a portal, falling into the portal and instead escaping his attackers. On Earth 2118, Eric and Lip stood outside the courtyard, the sandy ground reflecting the sunlight, and Elias stood in front of them. His new arm looked like stone, with a surge of blue energy sizzling through it, symbols laid upon the stones that resembled the magic keeping it solidified.
"Alright, Elias, let's try morphing, see what happens,"
Eric told him.
Okay, just give me a minute,"
Elias said nervously. "On your own time, buddy. Come on, you got this," Lip muttered. Elias removed his charm off his neck and it shimmered into his sword and shield. He pulled the sword from the shield and in a flash of light he morphed into the Blue Viking Ranger. The Blue Viking Ranger spun his sword in his hands, he dropped into a fighting stance and swung his sword, following by a thrusting of his shield.
Doing great, man.
Eric cheered. How do you feel, bro? Lip asked.
It feels normal. As normal as it can be, I guess.
The Blue Viking Ranger said, standing straight. Then suddenly the ground started shaking. Screams filled the sky. The three boys ran towards the noise, alerting Himiko to join them. They ran deeper into town and saw a mecha unlike any other. It was a yellow lion with very basic features and it was very blocky. It stood and absorbed the life force of those running around, running them into nothing but skeletons. Holy crap! Lip blurted. Himiko came running to a halt, joining them.
Guys, this has been going on for the last hour. Countries being reduced to nothing. All life being absorbed by this mecha.
Himiko stated.
Is it a Zord?
Eric asked.
No, Brohan. Did a scan, and it has no link to the grid.
Himiko replied for a deep breath. Then they saw several grey, dull, faded rangers attacking people. With just their touch, they drained the life force out of the people, killing them, turning them into skeletons. We've got to do something, Lip growled. Lip, Himiko and Eric all morphed, and then the four rangers ran into the fray. The pink Japanese ranger pulled a woman to her feet.
Get to safety. Go!
The pink Japanese ranger barked. She threw several shurikens at the faded rangers, but they had no effect. The gold ranger jumped up and slammed both his feet into one of the faded rangers, throwing it off its balance. The white ranger of Ra flew down and grabbed one civilian, trying to pull them free from the grasp of one of the faded out rangers. The faded ranger jumped up and launched up into the air and grabbed the guy by the ankle, the life force being drained from him. The Ranger Ra looked down and tried to pull the man away. Help me, please! The man screamed out. It's gonna be okay, just hang on. The Ranger Ra called out in a state of panic. The man stopped screaming, his skin and muscles were reduced to energy and was absorbed into the faded out Ranger. The man became the skeleton, in the grip of the Ranger of Ra. He screamed out in fear and shock and dropped the skeleton, the bones crashing on the sand below, and the faded out Ranger landing on the ground and stood up easily. The four rangers tried their best to stay on the attack, when suddenly a portal opened and the red Cornish ranger came flying out of it, crashing into one of the faded out rangers, crushing it into the ground.
Mark, you're back!
The gold Celtic ranger called out.
It seems like these things are making their way around different universes.
The red Cornish ranger muttered.
Guys, look.
The blue Viking ranger yelled. As he pointed out, everyone looked around and saw that there were no more civilians. Instead, they were all skeletons, everywhere, just laying there. The lion mecha slammed its paws down and looked directly at the ground as it started to absorb the life force from the earth itself. The palm trees started shriveling up around everyone.
Everyone, get back to the museum, now!
The red Cornish ranger ordered. All five rangers ran back to their base, the army of the faded rangers following them, walking after them. They barged into the museum and library of ancient history, and they all demorphed, and Lip and Eric grabbed a table and used it to barricade the door. Mark ran into the computer room and found Brohan sat there.
Brohan, are you alright?
Mark asked him. I am fine, Mark. My worry is for this planet. I can feel it weakening, Brohan explained.
I think it's time I make some calls.
Mark stated. Mark and Brohan left the computer room and joined everyone in the library. Mark hit his communicator.
This is Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger. Call in for aid. Ranger Council, come in. Ultra Rangers. Earth 19. Earth 113. Anyone, please respond. This is officially a call for aid.
Mark called out into his communicator.
I can't get a hold of Dante.
Eric muttered. Yeah, and I can't get hold of the Magnificent Megaforce duo either. Lip sighed. Suddenly there was an almighty howl that pierced the sky. The ground shook, the windows shook, the books vibrated off the shelves.
What on earth is that?
Himiko called out as she covered her ears. Elias's eyes widened as he recognized the source of the howl.
It's Finrear.
Elias called out in cheer. The group found their way out of the building and saw the almighty-sized wolf slamming its paws into the group of faded rangers. It snapped its jaws and it swung its claws at the faded rangers. Then it attacked the lion mecha. The lion mecha and Fenrir started trading blows. The almighty son of Loki managed to bite the head of the lion mecha and crunch into it. Then the faded rangers started climbing up the wolf, using its fur to secure themselves. The whole horde climbed up the wolf. Within moments, it was covered in faded rangers, like a dog covered in fleas.
We have to help him.
Elias called out in panic. Elias took a step, but Eric and Mark stopped him.
Let me go. We have to help.
Elias cried.
We cannot get ourselves killed.
Mark snapped. The faded rangers all started absorbing the son of Loki. The oversized wolf let out a massive howl as its energy was being ripped from it. The wolf became a skeleton, which toppled over and crashed onto the group of faded rangers, all being crushed onto the ground. They all stood and turned their attention to Mark and his team. The lion mecha continued draining the planet of its life force.
Fenrir! No! No!
Elias cried out, tears rolling down his face. Suddenly, Mark's communicator beeped and Mark answered it. It was Haley from Universe 19, the creator of Power Ranger Cyberforce. Haley opened a portal for them, and the global team jumped through the portal, leaving the Lion Mecha to take Earth 2118. The team walked out of their portal and entered the command center. They were confused, filled with sorrow and guilt, but most of all, they were determined to help stop this new threat.
This podcast is a production of the Three Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.